All right, it's Joe Bruin here with AllAccessEntertainment.com. It's ImmortalSeats.com. It's the booth here at Rhode Island Comic Con 2019. The one and only Jaleel White. Thank you for joining us.
What's up, man? How you doing?
No, pretty good. Appreciate you taking the time today. What is it like coming out to events like this, meeting your fans up close and personal?
I mean, when the event delivers like this, it's worth it. I was in Atlanta actually filming, doing a new project, Boomerang for BT. And so it was a 2-hour flight. You pop up. You don't know what you're going to get. You know, you go to sleep, you wake up the next morning. I come down here and I see lines wrapped around the block. That makes it worth it. You know, it's the people have been so polite. Funny story though, I like to share it real quick. When Family Matters went into syndication, our top executive producer told me in a private meeting that Massachusetts, Boston specifically, the affiliate, did not take our show. They opted not to purchase our show. So he's a very veteran producer. So he called the GM of the affiliate himself and asked why they decided to pass on Family Matters. They were the only location in the country, major location, that had passed on us in syndication. And he said, well, you know, with our demographic, we just don't really feel like we're going to get the numbers with your show up here. And that was a very polite way of saying we don't really think an African-American show is going to play to this audience. So our producers said, we'll give it to you for free for a year. If you hit this particular number, will you pay this number? So the GM said, okay, yeah. And obviously, the show has been in syndication here for over 20 years. I have so many generations of kids that continue to come by the booth. They know me for both, you know, Steve and Sonic. Sonic's a whole separate situation. But that story is just really cool because this is the biggest Comic-Con response I've ever gotten in the States. Germany can give you a run for your money, but as far as the States go, for my biggest response to come from a territory that initially wasn't even going to have us in syndication. It just lets me know how much life has changed and will continue to change for the positive.
Absolutely.
So sorry for the long story, but that meant something to me, and so it's a cool thing to share.
From the heart.
People don't understand. I work in a business where there's a lot of other people involved that get a say about your future and how you distribute it. And I may never even meet those people, but I always remember Bob Boyette telling me that story.
Now, obviously, the world has changed as a whole, but what are your thoughts on sitcoms, what they were in the 80s, the 90s, and maybe not so many nowadays? It doesn't have the same...
You know, they were run differently. So a very influential man named Gary Marshall passed away not too long ago, and he trained all the guys who wrote the sitcoms that you love. So without his influence, without their continuing to proliferate his craft, sitcoms are being made. They're just going to be made with a different millennial sensibility.
And growing up as a kid, if you could just tell us what it was like, you know, this is Rhode Island Comic Con, you see the collectibles, you see the toys, movies.
Yeah.
What did you collect as a kid, and
wow.
What were some of your favorite movies?
I collected basketball cards ardently, and favorite movies, I loved very commercial stuff. I loved everything from Real Genius to Beverly Hills Cop, anything with Eddie Murphy, Golden Child, Coming to America, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, anything John Hughes, The Godfather is when I started getting serious about film.
Right.
Yeah, I'm a film buff like anybody else, man.
How'd you first get into the acting world, and what were some of your first gigs?
You know what? My preschool teacher thought I was funny, and there's a whole story after that I hope to be able to tell someday.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, what was it like being a child actor and seeing stuff, you know, toys, collectibles of yourself in the store? How did you take that in as a child?
You know, it's surreal to see yourself on a shelf. For some reason, it never really affected me on an ego level. But, you know, I always liked the work. I always liked just the moment, you know, the audience, the interaction with the audience every Friday night.
Sure. Netflix, of course, the Big Show you're a part of. Mm-hmm. What can you tell us about that upcoming program?
Big fun show. Paul White's amazing. The Big Show. He's got an awesome family, 3 spunky little girls that are going to give him a run for his money. And I'm his friend who generally has a bad idea about everything. And I lead Big Show down some wrong roads, but they're funny roads for you to watch. So check it out. Netflix, The Big Show Show, coming out 2020.
And staging Christmas as well. I'm a big fan of Christmas movies.
Yes.
What's the synopsis on that?
You know what? Oh gosh. I don't know that one. Next question.
Yeah.
It's a Lifetime Christmas movie.
Right. Aspiring actor. I mean, when you first got involved, did you have any, anybody that you looked up to?
Oh yeah, you looked up to everybody. I mean, there was the Trinity back then, which was pretty much Eddie, Denzel, and Wesley. Growing up, you automatically were weaned on their movies.
And film and television, a little bit different. How did you feed off a live studio audience?
Well, you definitely feed off a live studio audience. Some audiences were cold, some audiences were hot, and they fueled everything that I did, man. And I mean, now that I see how audiences have changed, I'm so grateful for the ones I got a chance to perform in front of.
And of course, you were part of Dancing with the Stars. What was that whole experience about?
Dancing with the Stars was, how can I truncate this? Week 1 and week 5 were so special, and everything else was a blur.
Right.
I lost 16 pounds, you just survived. It's a Hunger Games with dance shoes.
And do you have any advice for an upcoming actor, something just looking to get into the business?
Know your lines, don't ignore social media, don't get too caught up in popularity, and understand that at the end of the day, it's just a job.
And how can fans follow you on social media?
At Jaleel White, I'm blue checked everywhere. I love being funny on Instagram, Twitter. I'm just kind of chill, but I'm there.
Yep.
And Facebook. You can definitely find me on Facebook too.
And in closing, what would you say your greatest accomplishment has been thus far in your career?
My greatest accomplishment in my career is to just still be working at a high level. It's a rare thing for people to say every year until you're 40-something years old, you pay your bills acting.
Right.
And I do that. So, sometimes I got to give myself credit. You take all these gigs throughout a year, and then you look up into December, and it's like, oh, I made a good living this year.
Absolutely.
How did that happen?
Right.
How did that happen?
Right. Well, we thank you so much for taking the time today.
Nah, thank you.
It's Rhode Island Comic Con. Ladies and gentlemen, Jaleel White.
Hey.